Well, thank you, Matthew. Yes, as Matthew said, I'm going to be presenting randomized strong recursive skeletonization for boundary integral equations in 3 dimensions. This is a piece of work that I've been working on for almost 2 years already. And a couple of years ago, I showed you what my plans were to develop a version of this algorithm for Rust. Because so far we've only been working on implementations in Python. So I wanted to see how this worked in a high performance computing kind of environment. So yes, the title says implementation of this algorithm for boundary integral equations, but I'm not gonna distract you too much with what boundary integral equations are. The only thing that you need to know is that in terms of applications, we want to be able to solve scattering problems really fast. Scattering problems is basically you have a scatterer, you have a wave, incoming wave, it bounces and the wave goes towards infinity. And we can solve this problem via different methods. The method of choice that we're choosing is boundary integral equations. And the important thing about boundary integral equations that you need to know is that you only need boundary data, which is a plus because you don't need to mesh the space. But one of the trade-offs of boundary integral equations is that you have equations that operators that look this way, and here you have a kernel that is non-local, and therefore the matrix you end up with is a dense matrix. The good thing about this kernel, though, is that if you have 2 points that are really far away in your scatter, let's say you have a point here and you have a point here, these interactions are very small, so they don't really add too much, and the important bits of information lie in the points are close to each other on the boundary of your scatter. So in practice, your matrices would look like this, where far away from the diagonal, you have very small entries, and close to the diagonal, you have stronger and stronger interactions. So your matrix is dense. So in practice, you shouldn't be using any direct solvers because it would take you way too long. But since you have a certain structure to your matrix that's tied to the geometry, you can definitely find data sparse representations for these matrices. And there is a very extensive literature on these different data sparse representations. And the one that we will be working on is the randomized strong recursive skeletonization. And for you to have in mind, all of these methods are based on a hierarchical representation of your domain of your geometry. So if you imagine that you have many points in the space, you can enclose them in a box and then partition your domain recursively, and you will end up with a tree that has a hierarchy that you can use for your method. The only other thing important is that you end up with boxes, and all of the neighbors of your boxes these will be strong interactions, and that's why we would call near field. Everything else that's not not adjacent to the boxes will be called the far field. We'll be calling the far field. So what is randomized strong recursive skeletonization? So to explain this, we first need to know what the last 3 letters of RSRS are. So randomized strong recursive skeletonization is just a randomized version of strong recursive skeletonization. So strong recursive skeletonization is an algorithm that consists in 2 parts. So we take advantage of this hierarchical structure, and we define 2 bits of information, what we call the far field and the near field. So this will be, for instance, blocks in the far field, portions of information in the far field. This is the box that we've chosen, and this is the near field. And in these 2 steps, you sparsify your matrix. You do by a compression of the far field using an interpolative decomposition. So you define a tolerance, and you say, okay, this elements, you can compress them given this certain tolerance. And you also eliminate the near field using LU pivots. And the good thing about this strong recursive skeletonization is that as you perform this operation on your matrix, you end up with factors that are self-invertible. And therefore, you not only find a sparse representation of your matrix, you are also finding a sparse representation of the inverse of your matrix, which is very convenient because if you can find an approximate inverse to your matrix, then you can also find a preconditioner for your dense matrix. And so RSRS not only works as a fast Direct solver, but also works as a preconditioner for your method to get a preconditioner for your matrix. So the randomized part, as I said before, is just basically you, instead of working with a matrix, we work with the samples of our matrix. So we define 2 test matrices, one for A and one for the conjugate transpose of A, or just the transpose of A, depending if your matrix is real or complex. And so the good thing about this is that since you are sampling the matrix, you only need to know the matrix vector product of your operator. So let's think that if you have a very large geometry, your operator might not fit in your computer. So you can use this, you can develop a matrix-free method that does matrix vector product between the matrix and its transpose. And then you can apply all of the, you can use Y and Z to derive your factorization and they approximate to the inverse. So this is very well suited for large scale problems in principle. But the thing is that we also need to adapt the problem if we want to use it for very large scale problems. Because when you compute RSRS in practice, it looks very nice, but you will see as you increase the number of degrees of freedom, if you use traditional methods in linear algebra, then it can become very expensive. In particular, because since we're putting all of the information of the matrices on the samples, we need to distinguish between near field and far field. And to do this, we have 2 steps that are called nullification and extraction steps. And these imply computing zero inverses of bits of your test matrix. And these bits of your test matrix grow with the number of neighbors that you have for each box. So as you reach the root of your tree, then these boxes become larger and the zero inverses also become larger. So one of the first accelerations that we've done is that instead of using SVD decompositions for the zero inverses, we do this using a regularized least square problem, and we compute an LU factor on them. And in principle, all of these algorithms have cubic complexity, but the constant is different, and we will see that all of this matters. The good thing is that we have made available we have made these 3 methods available in the RSRS grades. And all of these have been implemented using RLST, which is a linear algebra toolbox that I think Timo presented a tutorial of this yesterday. So the second acceleration that we've implemented is Rayon acceleration. So we realized that when you do RSRS, you need to update your matrix every time you compute a factor, but there are portions of the information that are independent of each other. And the important bit here is that your near fields do not intersect. So what we've done is that we use a gradient coloring algorithm to compute batches of factors that can run at the same time. And in order to apply this, we implemented what we call a commutative factors rate that has basically a collection of these factors that you can apply in parallel. So some results, well, for the first acceleration, we see that yes, applying least squares to our implementation does matter. You can go from solving a problem in a little bit more than 10 minutes to closer to 4 or 5 hours using SVD. So going from SVD to least squares problem does pay off. This is for around 1 million degrees of freedom on a Laplace single layer problem, which is an easy problem. And we also tested how the parallel implementation with Rayon scales, and we see that there is a payoff when we implement parallelism using Rayon. We see that for the largest problem we tried, that's like 8.4 million degrees of freedom, we can achieve a factorization in less than an hour with 32 threads. And this is a small application. So here we have like part of a fuselage of an X16, and we tried an oscillatory problem. So this is a problem where you actually have a wave. The previous problems were all static. And this is for mid to high frequency range. And this is where you see that RSRS can pay off, because you can do your factorization once and solve your problem for different right-hand sides. So here we have 3 different sources, and we see that when we use RSRS as a preconditioner, without a preconditioner, solving your problem for each source can take more than 500 iterations. This is for a very high accuracy. So if you want to get very accurate results, you can use this one. But if you use RSRS as a preconditioner, here we implemented 2 RSRS preconditioners. We see that like it takes way less iterations. And to finalize, because I think I'm a bit late, here you can see some cool plots of one of the sources that hits the F16. This is the second source, and this is the third source. Yeah, so far that's what we've been doing. The grade hasn't been published yet. We need to make it nice and available for everyone. But the good thing about RSRS is that it's not just for binary integral equations, but it's for any kind of problem that has matrices with this type of structure. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention.